Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins here on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. Checking in Wednesday night right after Dynamite ended, and also in the Fight Game Media free audio feed Thursday morning. So I want to thank you all for listening, as well as those that are viewing us live. I see we got some people in the chat, so everyone's ready to go. And I agree with the consensus there that it was a good go home. Very good go home by their standards, because usually the penultimate show, as someone pointed out to me, that should have been my word of the day last week, is usually their better go home show, and actually maybe even was this time, but this was a really good one too. But Jeff, I told you before we went on the air that there was something I wanted to talk about before we got to here, and
Am I gonna learn how babies are made finally?
No.
Woo-hoo!
So,
God.
as some people may know, and I think I mentioned this on our retro show, I've been watching old episodes of Dynamite. And I've been watching the lead up to the first Full Gear, coincidentally enough, which was their first go home show. And today I started watching the actual go home show. And what do they say? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yes.
Okay. You remember when Cody faced Jericho for the world title? There was a stip, right?
Yes.
The stip was that if he doesn't win, he can never challenge for the title again. And a lot of people thought that was a big mistake. And, it may have indirectly led to Cody leaving. I don't buy that for a second. But what I had forgotten about that was, did you realize that was on the Go Home show? That was the first that was ever brought up 3 days before the pay-per-view?
No, I did not.
They were hyping up Cody will make a special announcement. And I've been watching all the shows, and I'm wondering, what the hell could the special announcement be? And I'm like, there's no way it's the stip. And sure enough, it was. He cut an awesome promo on Jericho, and then he made the stip. It was all about basically how, like everyone's criticizing him because he's the management and he's getting a world title shot, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, Chris, was the son of an NHL player. You grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth too. And he's like, we're the exact same and all this, right? And then later on in the show, Jericho did what I had completely forgotten about. And this was a direct correlation to the videos Cody had been putting out as hype for this thing. And it was his promo it was a parody of the Cody promos. And so he had all these comments from like people, legends, quote unquote, wrestling legend Soul Train Jones. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
And then they had Jake Hager. They kept cutting to Jake Hager, and he would just stand there and say nothing. They had this old lady who nobody knew who she was, and it was supposed to be like, I guess the corresponding to Cody's mom, and she just said, "Jericho's gonna kick your ass," whatever. And it was like, and Sammy was like treating him like MJ, like he was MJF to his Cody. It was so brilliant, and I'm watching this whole thing. And I'm like, man, I want to buy this pay-per-view. Like it was good hype at the last minute, but it was like so much of it was last minute. And then I realized I didn't actually even watch this pay-per-view. And the reason why was because I was upset about the fact that Moxley and Hangman or Moxley and Omega was going to be lights out, and I didn't want to see it, and I didn't want to pay for it, and I didn't want to support it. So I actually never bought this pay-per-view. I let my money speak with my mouth. So yeah, but the TV leading up to it was interesting, and then they had remember the tag team tournament?
Yes.
Which SCU won. What I had forgotten was they beat the Lucha Bros in the finals, so they got first place medals, and the Lucha Bros got second place medals, and then Private Party and the Dark Order had a match for the third place medal. Thankfully they got rid of that. They're not.
Did they also have the women's tag team tournament on this one, or was this?
Oh no, that's like a year later. That was during the.
I still remember the medal winners from that tournament. Do you?
Okay, I think Brandy's team won, right? Was Brandy and Allie? No? Okay, who were they?
Ivelisse and Diamante.
Oh, they were the gold medal winners or the first place winners. Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember who the other two were?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, okay. I just remember I called it the Brandy Bowl, and I remember some of these teams, like, they were scrounging. Like, they got,
The company, by the way, even
yeah.
though she's never.
Who did they what was that woman from, like, Cameron from Tough Enough? Or
Yes,
somebody the
because
one
she
that
tried to.
made Steve Austin's head explode? They
Yeah, well, I believe was it this match where she tried to pin. She tried to pin somebody the wrong way, like face
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh
yeah.
my god. Yeah, no, so I'm a little ways away from that, but I'm having fun watching these early episodes, and, yeah, and they had a Halloween themed thing, and then it was actually the 5th episode, and it's funny, as I'm watching it, I'm like, "Okay, I can see why they started losing viewers." I'm just watching this stuff, and they're, like, bringing in people that I didn't know, and they're doing goofy stuff, and then I'm reading Dave's write-up, and he's like, "This was the worst episode of Dynamite to date. They shouldn't be doing this. Leave this to WWE and Impact and just focus on your wrestling." And, yeah, and they're doing, like, Rick and Morty masks, and Bucks were dressing as the Street Fighters, and Kenny had some other video game reference. So, anyways, I thought this was kind of funny, and just relating it to the to the build for Go Home. Plethora has an interesting thing, and this is kind of topical, I guess, because Shayna was now I don't know if she's back. Last night was a tryout apparently on the NXT show, and I know there'd been rumors that she was going to come into AEW, and she's not. She couldn't have come in for All In. Her 90 days isn't up yet.
Right.
But and this may have been strategic on WWE's part. What do you got any thoughts on this one?
Am I disappointed Shayna is apparently back with NXT as an agent and she won't be going to AEW? I don't think we can answer that, Paul. I mean, am I personally? I don't know, because I don't think necessarily she comes into AEW and she's used to her full potential.
I
don't
have
think
a
there's
I have
any
a simple
guarantee of
answer
that.
to this. I'm
But
not
the answer is, what is she happy with? That is my
Yes.
question
Yes.
here, because
Yeah.
maybe she doesn't want to take bumps anymore. You know, she's in her 40s.
If she can get a long-term gig out of this as a
Yes.
producer, making, low 6 figures. I don't know what they pay their producers, but I imagine it's in that range.
If she's somehow a lot more than, hey, just happy to be here, and she's
Yeah.
allowed to bring her style into the training,
Yeah.
I am more than happy to say Thea Hale take some notes from Shayna Baszler and become a world-class ass kicker. But
By the same
overall, I like Shayna a lot. I do.
Yeah.
She's very sweet. I've met her a few times. I love watching her wrestle because I think she brings a certain credibility that other women don't into the arena.
Mhm.
But you know what? If she doesn't want to fly and take bumps and she just kind of wants to be a homebody and do her streams for her Twitch channel and,
Maybe
and
do
just,
the odd cameo match,
yeah,
like
maybe
once
do the
a year.
occasional blood sport for her friend Josh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
And
know,
even, show up on the odd, show like AEW on WWE, like, do a
yeah,
battle royal or something. And then the other thing is if AEW thinks that WWE wants her in some sort of role, then they may make her a better offer than she would have got otherwise. So I'm happy for Shayna if she ends up getting a good deal out of this from either
yes.
company. That's the way
If
I'm
she's happy and she can pay her
Yeah.
mortgage or rent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she's better off now than she was 2 months ago when she got released.
Yes. And look, you could put her, I'll take her over Ava as an on-screen character if they ever want to do that. But I mean,
Mhm.
if she ever appears on camera in that NXT arena, she's going to be treated like a god because she had so much credibility in NXT that she didn't get when she was on the main roster.
She could even be
Trainer or trainer player.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, I was
Player
thinking
coach.
it could even be like that role on the main roster.
Yeah.
They haven't had a female in that role since like Stephanie, I don't think. So
Yeah, but I don't think, no. I think it's a
No?
little
Okay.
different on the main roster.
Okay.
It's
All right.
very
Yeah. Yeah, so that was interesting. And yeah, I do think there's maybe some strategy there. And I've seen some people speculate that, well, maybe they're trying to get Ronda to show up at Evolution, and this would be, hey, we'll give your girl a job if you do us a solid. So there could be some of that, or even trying to keep Ronda out of AEW. Like there's a lot of strategy going on. And it's it's an interesting weekend for sure. It was nice that Mercedes plugged Evolution on. Did you catch that?
Yes. Yes.
Clearly that was a mistake, but I still
maybe she'll show up there too.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, unless this was like a thing like they did with Mariah. But yeah, it's like I said, I like the show tonight. I listened to the conference call with Toni. There wasn't much news coming out of there. You know what? There was one thing that if I was on this call, I would have asked. And I was positive one of the reporters would ask it. And there were some dumb questions on this call.
There are always dumb questions because you kind of open it up to certain sites and whatnot.
Yeah, but, and then like stuff like, oh, why is Hangman so awesome? Like stuff like that. Like
yes, there's a lot of how am I gonna put this? Talk radio becomes very boring.
Yeah.
Once you get to caller questions, because it's either they want affirmation from the host, or they want to call him an idiot. One of the two.
Yeah,
and it became very much like that. It was a lot of affirmation.
But the question I was going to ask was if someone asked about the titles, and can you clarify the international title and the continental and what's going to go? And Toni gave like a 5-minute answer that didn't clear anything up and probably gave more questions than answers. But
good. I want him to confuse people on that.
But my question would have been, and I still don't know the answer to this, and I've had people tell me different things. What goes on with the winner of the Casino Gauntlet? Is it a Money in the Bank like Christian last year, or is it you get your shot at All Out, you get your shot at Dynasty, whatever? Because all it says in the thing is gets a guaranteed world title shot.
Correct.
And that is the same wording he used last year with Christian.
And they're scared to death to make it a Money in the Bank thing because they find it cheap.
Well, no. They're not scared to make it.
The fans might make it feel.
They're not scared to make it a Money in the Bank. They're scared to tell people it's a Money in the Bank.
Okay.
Even though it is, I think. I don't know, but I think it is. And if MJF gets it, it's definitely going to be that. If it's somebody else, I could see. Like today, I thought. Well, I was thinking Kyle Fletcher might, but then I forgot that he was in that TNT title match. But I almost rather he was in this and got it because man, I watched Kyle Fletcher today. And we'll talk about it when we go over the show. But my God, that guy might be the best working heel in the business right now.
I had a question.
Sure.
Mr. Khan, done a phenomenal job building up AEW, getting this great TV contract. Trying to grow your business amidst a wrestling landscape where there is one large giant corporation that's trying to counter program against you. But Toni, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I'll hang up.
Jeff, that's a great question. And
that's how you always start.
I want
a great question.
I want to answer that. And the fact is our great partners at Warner Brothers Discovery and Max have given us this platform to which we can present this awesome professional wrestling. And on Saturday, we're going to have this All In, which is our signature pay-per-view of the year. And before that, we've got Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor, which is an annual tradition on Friday night at the Curtis Caldwell Center, where I brought the Briscoes in. And this was one of the favorite matches I've ever promoted, Briscoes versus FTR. And every time I'm back in Dallas and I'm at the Curtis Caldwell Center, I remember that night and that match. And I have these great memories. And I talked with Mark Briscoe about this earlier today. And Mark Briscoe told me, if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Oh, that's such a perfect answer, Paul. Thank you for playing along.
All right. Did you catch the end of the rap last night on also on this?
No, I did not.
There was a run-in from Uncle Paul Levesque. And he was talking about, he wanted to clear up some misconceptions that Keela and Scott had about the pay-per-view White of Champions. And also...
did you say White of Champions?
Sorry, Freudian slip. And then he was promoting this weekend shows, Friday White, Black Down, and the White American Bash. and Saturday White's main event. So, and then they asked him about Sunday, and he said, well, he's really looking forward to going to the show with, Stephanie, and Shane's going to be there, and they're even bringing their kids, and they're going to have a great time at Beyonce's show on Sunday. And then they asked about the pay-per-view, and he wasn't aware of the pay-per-view. He put about as much thought into that. So yeah, no, it was a joke. You have to listen to the rap to get it. The Scott and Keeler are not impressed with Paul. I don't see colors, Levesque, at the best of times. So anyway, that's our WWE for the day. You want to talk about this show, and we're going to do a preview of All In at the end of the thing, a preview for the show that they've done a great job building that I won't be watching, unfortunately. Through no fault of AEW's. If I could watch it, I would. I'm just not going to be able to watch it. I will probably eventually watch it, but I can't watch it on Saturday.
Yeah, let's start, because it appears we had some disagreement on the beginning of the show.
All right. Well, before we start, I'm bringing this back because I remembered. I looked up the attendance, and it was 2,540. Now it's a small building. As I mentioned, I was there for that first Ring of Honor show under the AEW banner, and like they claimed there was 2,000 people there that show, but I was kind of counting, and it looked like maybe 1,200. And in this show, they sold 2,540 tickets. The last time they were there was in December 2023, so about a year and a half ago. And they did 3,100 for a Collision. So it's a little down from that. But, they're doing, like 3 straight nights in that building. And
because they're doing
in on Sunday, or Saturday. Thanks, Mercedes. They're doing Collision live tomorrow and then Friday. No, I got Sunday on the brain now. And then, that isn't even a joke. Like, it's like she got me thinking Sunday.
Look, everybody thinks pay-per-views are Sunday, so I'm not going to blame her necessarily.
Mox has done this a few times. So Mox is finally, he does the date now, which is what they teach you in Pro Wrestling 101. Always mention the date. So it's July 12th, July 12th, July 12th. And he doesn't have to remember Saturday or Sunday. So they opened with, he ran down All In, and my God, like they did like more promos for All In tonight than they've done probably for any pay-per-view. I don't ever remember this kind of promotion on the Go Home show for All In. Like they must have ran down the card like 10 times tonight, and I'm not complaining. I mean, that's their job. And they had Machine Head by, as we call them in Canada, Bush X, as the theme song once again. Tony was very excited about this on X. The reason we call it Bush X is because there was an indie band in Canada called Bush that were popular somewhat at the time. So we had to call them Bush X to differentiate them from the other Bush. So yeah, Machine Head. That's
Bush is in Gavin Rosdale's crew?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's who does the theme song Machine Head. It's from the 90s.
Right.
It's a great tune.
Got it.
Yeah. One of our friends in the Discord wonders if Tony's ever listened to any music since 2010. I'm not complaining. I like Machine Head. So we kicked off the show with the Mercedes and Toni face-to-face segment. And you mentioned you didn't like this one. I kind of did. So we'll be interested to hear your thoughts once we go through it. So I should point out the ring was all red. They had like red carpet there. And Mercedes opens it up. She's in there by herself. And she says, Texas, say hello to your CEO. Says, Toni, we got off on the wrong foot. I want this to be civil. So Toni, darling, let's get to it. And the fans chant Toni. Tony's on the screen, and it's black and white. She says, we meet again in Texas. Only 2 things come from Texas, and I'm at least one of them. I have no idea what that meant. We got a $3 sticker.
I think I know the joke.
Okay. Is it lewd?
It used to be one of those things, only 2 things come from Texas, steers and queers.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I can see why she didn't explain it. And I'm fine with that. And she's made references to that before, so that's cool. So Mercedes, crowd chanting Toni. Mercedes says, I'm sick of these little games. I'm the master of any game. There's nowhere to hide on Saturday, so why don't you come out here and meet me face to face, you mark. I promise I won't hurt you too badly, darling. So Tony's upset. I'm not hiding at all. I'll come out there right now. So she comes out. And they got 2 chairs there, but she won't sit down. And so then Mercedes says, I see you brought a bottle of champagne. Let's make a toast. Fans chant. And Tony says, a civil toast. Yes, a toast. A toast to me, your future AEW World Women's Champion. 7 belts, Mone. And then that pisses Tony off. She says, save the performance bullshit for your entrance. I thought I knew who you were, but clearly I was wrong. I warned you. I'm not like the others. You treated me like some sort of underdog. You speak in catchphrases. You have the authenticity of a spray tan in a rainstorm. You have the emotional depth of a kiddie pool. You're also, and they bleeped out, face fraud. I don't know. Do you know what she said?
No. My mom wasn't enjoying this segment. She was actually in the room with me at the time.
Oh, okay. Well, this was tame by Tony standards.
No, I know that. But it was just like one of those things where she's just like she's having me explain it to her.
Oh no, I had to do this one time with my wife, and I just gave up. But in this belt, I found myself. But all these belts that you wear are just little masks for you to hide behind. So what the hell are you so afraid of, Mercedes? And Mercedes sits down in the chair and she says, Tony, you and I have walked very similar paths, but we're nothing alike. Because I have and always will be better than you. I will always outshine you in success and class. I'm not afraid of anyone or anything. I'm not afraid to leave it all on the table. I've been through hell and back, and I made the devil my bitch. I think she's talking about Vince there. The more these people hate me, the more that I win. No one is going to stop the money train, not even you. This right here is my legacy. This is my destiny. I know exactly who I am. The one-woman revolution, the alpha, omega, and everything in between. Interesting choice of words there. And Mercedes says, legacies don't exist, Mercedes. One day we'll all turn to dust and we'll be forgotten. We're all going to die. Don't you get it? All that matters is one moment. The moment where you step in the ring, where you look into my eye and you realize that you fear an ordinary life, but I only fear an ordinary death. Now, I sincerely believe that you deserve all these titles in the world, but not this one. You will go down as the woman who, and she pauses to let everyone chant for her, you just couldn't win the big one. The camera focuses on Mercedes and she looks like she's going to cry. And then she brings it together and she says, I really hope this would have been civil, but this Saturday, and everyone chants, you fucked up.
You fucked up.
May the best woman win. And Tony toasts her and throws the glass down. She says, eat shit, bitch. And she tried to give her the money maker, but Mercedes bailed. I like this. Like, I like the back and forth. It's a different kind of character from Tony. But I told you before we started that I thought there was a subtext, and I think the subtext is WWE versus AEW. And I think she's saying Mercedes.
No kidding.
She's saying Mercedes is a WWE product, like saying she's not authentic and all this.
Well, it's always been there, and I would agree, and that's the reason why Tony's going over too. I think.
I think Mercedes. Oh yeah, no, I think you're right. I think Tony's winning. Yeah.
I'll get straight to the point. I just don't like nihilistic baby faces, and this is another one. Ordinary Death. She's another version of Willow Nightingale, or to me.
Well, yeah. Like, I think what she's saying is that if she's gonna die, she wants to die spectacularly.
Yes, I get that, but at the same time, you're not going to die in a wrestling match, all right? Unless you're New Jack or something. I just this felt like a Jen Pepperman special to me. I was watching this. I'm like, these two are just talking at each other. They're not talking to each other, and I think it was all just for the joke of Texas toast. And they never really.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah. They should have built this as a Texas toast. Mercedes and they totally should have done that.
I think that joke was there, and they just decided not to hit it, but they assumed that's what we'd all know it would be. I just didn't feel like there was a genuine moment between these two, and it's one of those things where I'm watching, I'm going, yeah, they're both in their character, and they're both doing their character well. But their characters are just here, and they're not connecting at all.
It's ironic that you put it that way, since Tony called her inauthentic.
Yeah, and I think I think Mercedes is the one who could bring authenticity to this. Because I think she could tell about her story and why she's here at AEW and why this means so much to her.
But
And for me, that would
being authentic kill? Isn't that against her character though? Isn't her whole character that she's inauthentic?
Yes, in a way. In a way, the character's inauthentic, but what am I trying to say? The things that she's done aren't.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Her accomplishments aren't inauthentic. And that's the problem with the character a little bit. Is she now has 7 titles.
Yeah.
She's not an inauthentic babyface. She is a legitimate badass.
Yeah.
She is possibly the best female wrestler on earth. Yeah. And instead she's doing the flaky, I'm the CEO of AEW, even though she's not. She has, I mean, if she were with the Elite, maybe she would be. But it's one of those things where...
Well, she'd be financially bankrupt now if she was. We'll get to that.
But you know, it's one of those things where I was just like, I want to feel like these two really want to fight, and that these two really have something, because they both have similar stories about where they came from in terms of why they left WWE.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna get that subtext in there, then I need at least a genuine moment from one of them in here about what this means if I win.
They're just expecting that we know that. And I think most people probably do, but you know, this isn't like a Mega Okada where, you know, like maybe 10% of the people watching are, you know, saw the matches. Like, you know, most of the people watching would be aware of, especially Mercedes, but Toni as well. I mean,
here's how I would have framed it possibly, because I think also what was taking me out of it was the Mercedes darling stuff.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which I just didn't like at all.
She was almost playing Toni.
Yes, that was the whole point.
Yeah,
I think what she was trying to play the inauthentic Toni, saying Toni's also inauthentic in a way. I think there was trying to be subtext there, but really this should be for the villain, which is Mercedes. This is the final. You know, if she's Thanos of women's wrestling right now.
John has a good point here. John has a good point. How are you going to get a genuine? He said remote, but I think he means emotion. With both ladies having established outrageous characters for the past year in AEW, it's difficult. It's tough to.
It's tough.
Yeah, because you want to stay true to the story and to the characters, but you also want to have some heat. And I think, and I think this line here from Fernando is also key. And I put it up earlier, but I'll read it for the listeners. Mercedes versus Timeless Toni is going to be one of the greatest women's matches in history. Yes. I mean, I think that is the bottom line, and that's what's selling this match to people. The storyline is the storyline, and you may be excited by it, you may not be, but I think almost everyone watching knows that these are two of the best wrestlers in the world, and they're going to have one of the best women's wrestling matches of all time.
But they also know that the CEO character is a flake and a bit of a weak facade for Mercedes at times.
Well, yeah, and the Toni character is you know, I mean, that's her whole character, that she's fake, but she also will do anything it takes in the ring. I mean, she's shown that in all her feuds. She's shown that with Mariah. She's shown it with I don't even remember the other ones, but Mariah was the big one. You know, where she bled. She'll rip her tits off. At least they didn't say that line for your mom. That was nice. But yeah,
I explained she was pre-Hays coded. She might say something that's a little bit off color.
I think she's evolving. I think she might be in the 60s now. It's possible.
Oh, so she got to start dressing like Jamie Hayter in a while then?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe we're
it was just one of those things where it was like two characters in a scene that were kind of talking past each other.
And next year's All In, speaking of talking, she'll be Joan Collins by next year's All In.
I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
Joan Collins is an awesome character for a pro wrestler.
Oh yeah, we need more Joan Collins.
If this were Joan Collins versus Linda Evans, it'd be well booked.
Yeah, there you go.
But really, I mean, look, I'm looking forward to the match. It was just the promo. Neither of them had to be in the ring with each other for that one because they were just kind of talking past each other. So they could have been on a split screen and done this.
Well, I almost thought that's what they're going to do the way it started. War Hero, who I don't recall ever seeing in the chat before, so thanks for joining us, wants to know if Toni will go all the way to World's End. We both said we think she's going to win. So I think it depends on who wins the Gauntlet, because and also what the like the rules are for the Gauntlet. Like if you win the shot, like can you do it anytime? I don't see any challenger right now like ready to beat her. So I have Athena winning the Gauntlet, but I don't know.
Okay, I have somebody winning the Gauntlet.
Who's that?
I think Willow's winning the Gauntlet.
Oh, well, if Willow wins the Gauntlet, she could beat Toni like next week. Like she could win the title at any time. Like, and that could be the story. Like Toni's whole thing is just beating Mercedes. Once she beats Mercedes, that's it. She doesn't have to have the title anymore.
Right, and then she could possibly turn heel after that too.
Toni? Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if she's against Willow.
She and then she turns into Gloria Swanson from Sunset Boulevard again.
Yeah. And Laurent says he thinks they should pay off this with the first women's pay-per-view main event. I think Toni and Mercedes got to headline a show at some point. Maybe they'll do a rematch at like All Out or something.
They'll have to do a good rebuild on Mercedes after this to
because she's probably gonna have to lose all her titles now. So
yes.
Then we got a promo from Mox, which I thought again by Mox. Sometimes we don't like Mox's promos, and sometimes they're not shot very well. But this one was good because he was standing in one spot, and the camera kind of moved a few times, but he never moved. So that was good. And he says, "I know what you're thinking, Hangman. With this Texas death match, you think we've been here before and things went your way. Well, that was a long time ago. I've beaten you before, or I've been beaten before. I've been outsmarted and outmuscled, but never in my life have I lost a war of attrition. And that's exactly what this is. You think you can survive longer than me? Will you hold the line? The pressure of attack? Will you hold the line under the pressure of expectation? Under the pressure of everyone who's counting on you? I think you're Vic, I think this victory would be a waste. I think you're absolutely pathetic. You have one chance to prove me wrong. So on July 12th, you better walk that aisle like it's the last time you ever will. Because make no mistake about it, Texas Death, you're all in. Whether you like it or not, you are all the way in. I like this.
I like this too.
Yeah. Good. Moxley, this whole time, Hangman's going to win for sure. Hangman's going to win for sure. And I'm like, I'm not even positive now, even though my brain tells me Hangman's winning, but Mox is doing a good job here in my mind because he's casting doubt with me.
Yeah, no, look, he's finishing strong despite the fact that his entire reign has been kind of weak because of the character choice by them. But I think I think it's fairly obvious that Hangman's winning, but I really like this promo a lot.
Yeah, and like I said, in the stairwell, dimly lit, but he was focused and he wasn't talking in riddles, so that's always good.
Yes.
Yeah, and at this point, well, then we got the Bucks pulling up in their limo, and we wondered last week if anything was going to happen with the limo, and they waited a week, but we got
this limo actually got worse looking and more.
It did, yeah. Because I don't remember the Mount Rushmore on the hood last week.
It wasn't on there last week.
Yeah, and then the placards on the sides were longer this time. I think they doubled up on them.
Okay, answer this question for me. The Rushmore on the front was them twice, right?
You know what? I should have rewound and watched. I could have sworn.
Because there's been a few versions of Mount Rushmore in PWG.
Yeah, it should have been them, Kenny, and Cody. It could have been them.
Oh no, I think it should have been those two, Kevin Steen and Super Dragon.
Okay.
Or it could have been those two, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, which was also a Mount Rushmore. But I think it was just the Young Bucks twice, possibly. Or maybe maybe it was the four from the 8-man tag. Maybe it was Moxley and Claudio were the other two, I think.
I'm Googling to find out.
It was Adam Cole and Kevin? Okay. I'm misremembering. I'm misremembering my
the Reddit thread. It was Cody and Kenny, but this may be AI not answering my question or understanding my question.
You mean for tonight?
Yeah.
No, it
I
was
don't
they
think they're putting
AI
Cody
AI
over tonight.
AI scraping a website right now. They
Okay,
don't
all
even
right.
answer any question.
It was Adam Cole and Kevin, somebody said.
No,
I
I think
doubt. Oh,
I think I'm
that would be
misremembering
the
a version.
original one, but that wasn't tonight.
Right.
There's no way they could have had Cole on there, but there's no way they would have
No,
Kevin.
they wouldn't have done that. No.
Yeah. It could have just been them twice.
Yes.
Yeah. It could have been Khan and Kenny. I mean, you could do that. But
I think it
anyway.
was either them twice or Moxley and Claudio with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, so they pulled up and they didn't really do anything. They saluted and then they walked into the building and Excalibur pointed out that they were late. Then we got Bandito and Brody King against Protashita, Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. And this was a party match, probably the best match on the show. Brody was super over. Callis was on commentary. He said he was both impressed and terrified by Brody. Excalibur was pushing the Takeshita Bandito match on Friday hard. That's on the ROH pay-per-view. And also insinuated that or Brody might be in the Gauntlet. And I kind of thought he was kind of hinting that Kyle might be as well, even though Kyle's in that TNT title match. Brody hit a just an insane dive to the outside. The fans went nuts. Taz called him a cruise ship in the air, and then he called him Jumbo Jet Jones. Can't help himself sometimes. They come back from the break, and the crowd is insane after the break, and that's usually the sign of a great match. And yeah, they just kept going and back and forth, a whole bunch of shit. Bandito was probably like the guy they were trying to get over the most. One thing I noted in here though was Kyle Fletcher. Like, he is maybe the best working heel. And if you when I say working heel, I mean a guy that gets his opponent over and gets heat on himself. Like, that's, like Takeshita is probably a better wrestler, but it's not like he's trying to get his opponent over. He's just doing stuff, and he's great. Like, don't get me wrong. And there's a spot for that. But he's not like Kyle is actively working to get his opponents over.
Question, because you're kind of a historian.
Yeah.
Did he win most improved last year in the Observer
He did
Award?
not, but he should have.
He should win this year.
He absolutely
he's improved off of that, because
and he 100% won't, by the way.
He has completely outgrown Aussie Open.
Oh.
No, I'm not. You're
clearly.
scoffing like yeah, okay. But remember, this entire push was all gonna be until Mark Davis could come back and they could reteam, and maybe we get something out of the kid or whatnot. And yeah, I mean,
he did win. He did win last year. Sorry, my bad.
Okay.
Carter
he should win again.
Second, Dave Lee Finley was
because he's
just like
he's improved because he's improved off of that.
Oh,
just like the Miz. Asshole.
He did win 2 years in a row.
Miz did?
Oh yeah, back in like 2009, 2010, like around the time he headlined Mania. Yeah.
I loved Callis's line. I'm only going to talk to people who drew money. So Taz, Shivani, you're questionable. And then he just lets Excalibur hang.
He was having fun on there. But yeah, I was just watching Kyle the whole time, and like he's bumping and like crazy for these guys, but he still hits his moves. And yeah, it's just great. So the finish came. Bandito went for the 21 plex. Takeshita laid him out with an elbow. Then Bandito did dive to the outside, took out Kyle. Fans went nuts for Bandito. Then he tried a tornilla on Takeshita. Takeshita nails him with an elbow on the way down, hit Raging Fire, and got the win. That finishing sequence was unbelievable. And perfect finish because he's going for the title on Friday. And I think a lot of people are expecting a title change. I don't think so because Takeshita's going to the G1, but it's possible. They had Nick Wayne win a title there right before going to the juniors tournament. So, yeah. But it's not like the ROH title needs to be defended until like probably September, I think, is the next pay-per-view. So
I think I would have given both wins, but you can't complain. It's one of those things where I'm a guy who didn't want to see them in the ring together until that match, but yeah.
Who?
Bandito and
you would have given both those guys wins. Well, yeah, but the problem is this is Dynamite, right? So if it was ROH, you could have done that. But I don't think you want to waste two matches on these two. They never even mentioned the TNT title match. I don't think once.
No,
This whole thing, no.
that's
They
all
talk-
on Collision. The TNT
Yeah.
title is now a property of Collision, and it does not exist on TBS.
At least until Kyle Fletcher rescues it, and it can come back.
I think they're going to rename it eventually. I think they're going to have to rename it because I think they are doing that on purpose, because I don't think they want. I think they want the TBS champion on TBS. I think they want the TNT champion on TNT.
Okay. Who is the TBS champion?
Mercedes.
Oh, Mercedes, right? Yeah, Lily. I was thinking like Willow or something. We got something. Now, this wasn't my favorite thing on the show, although it was. I don't know how to put this. I was the happiest of anything that they put this on the show, if that makes sense.
I was shocked if this is what I think it is.
The Outrunners video package.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you missed Collision, Outrunners and FTR had like a damn near match of the year quality tag team match. Yeah.
My match of the year.
There you go. I mean, I'm not going to argue too hard with you. I saw people say it was the best TV match of the year. I can't agree with that. But I also am not going to argue too hard with people.
I won't say it's the best match of the year, but it might be my favorite match.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you've had other matches like that before where you've talked about them. And it's a great match. So the point is often when these great matches happen on Collision, they happen and then you move on and you never hear about it. They aired a video package. They showed highlights. The Outrunners talked about it. And they said, like, we didn't win, but we're coming back and we're not through it. The closing, if you haven't seen, this isn't over, Truth Magnum said, and if you haven't seen the Outrunners, you haven't seen nothing yet. Kind of a lame catchphrase, but they delivered it well.
Yeah, but I think it was supposed to be lame. Because you had the 80s synth pop in the back.
They need to bring in You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by BTO.
Oh, God. That'd be so cheese. But I'd love it, I think. It didn't have the oomph, but I think it was supposed to be ironic. So I think they hit it there.
I saw people saying,
this shocked me. I was like,
yeah,
because I'm like, okay, this is the go home show for their pay-per-view, and the Outrunners aren't on it yet. But
I don't think they will. Maybe
I think they might get added. They might get added to that tag team title match.
Really, like maybe if they beat FTR tomorrow night.
If one of them gets the pin, Tony will go, I was so impressed with them. I've put them in so that Speedball doesn't have to take the loss.
I was expecting Big Bill and Brian Keith to get added to that match.
I thought so, possibly as well, but
they weren't even on the show tonight.
Are they baby faces? I mean,
they're heels. They're heels.
Yeah,
they're heels.
We already have, and see, I was thinking maybe FTR gets added, but that would be 3 heel teams and Jet Speed, which would suck.
Yeah, it'd be better to have the Outrunners in there, and then they can take the fall. So they're doing a match tomorrow night, and it's the Outrunners and Jet Speed against Christian, Nick Wayne, and FTR. Mm-hmm. So my booking, okay, this is a long scenario, but I have Christian and Nick Wayne winning the titles at the pay-per-view.
I do too.
Nick Wayne, no, Christian probably pins like Mike Bailey, maybe, whatever. Then FTR challenges them for the belts because like we're the number 1 contenders. We've beaten all these teams. We want you guys. So they build up a feud. They're going to wrestle. And then FTR attacks Nick Wayne in the back or during a match or something. They take out Nick Wayne. And now Christian's got the belts and he's got to find a partner to face FTR at All Out in Toronto. I wonder who he picks. And
they keep on teasing that it's going to be
Kip Sabian or even maybe Luchasaurus.
No, I have it a different way.
He brings in Edge.
No, I think the Patriarchy get the titles, and then Christian leaves Nick Wayne to die against FTR, or something to that effect, and then Sabian or he gets attacked, and it's that Sabian and Nick Wayne get in there, and they lose, and then Christian kind of is like, "Hey, what happened here?" And somehow Sabian and Nick Wayne turn on Christian, I think.
Okay, and then Christian's a man without a country.
I can't have Christian doing something evil to Nick Wayne to lose the titles because he has to be a babyface with cope. right?
Well, this would be more like he gets Cope, but they don't like they're not friends, but they have common enemies.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, like so
I
you're
guess.
not forgetting the history. You can do the match in Toronto.
Yes, you are, because he told him to go F himself.
Yeah, but Cope told him the same thing. He got his receipt already on that one. Can't remember where it was. They had a match. Oh, was that I Quit match that they had?
Actually, you know what? You could do that, and you could have Nick and Kip be angry that he didn't have faith in them. And that's how we get to that. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's fine.
The enemy of the enemy is my friend. Yeah. No, I did. No, that's what I was saying, Fernando. Like Jack Perry. Yeah. So so they tomorrow we get that match. So then we got Renee with Patriarchy and FTR. And she says, how's this gonna go, Christian? And he says, I'll tell you, Renee. I could round down FTR's accomplishments, but we don't have that much time. We'll all bring our best. I expect nothing but success. I like where your heads are at, guys. So going to Collision and it all in, you scratch our backs, and after we win the titles, we'll scratch yours. And then Stokes says, there's been miscarriages of justice. The biggest one is that we aren't in that tag team title match at All In. It's not like they're the 10-time tag champs or the winningest tag team in AEW history. It's not like they just had another classic on Saturday on Collision. Now, none of this is your fault, Christian, but this whole back scratching thing, let's see how tomorrow night goes. And he puts his hand out, and Christian just stands there. So Stoke grabs Christian's hand, puts it in his own, and shakes his hand for him. And then he walks off, and Christian's like wiping his hand. He's disgusted by the fact that he had to shake hands with Stoke, and that was that. Not much else to
I
say
liked
there.
it.
Yeah, it was fine.
No, not really. I mean, there should be no honor among thieves, and Stokely is. I think Stokely finally has kind of found himself with FTR in AEW.
The mix of comedy and seriousness, and
the comedy is rare. I mean, it's there, but it's rare, which is nice. But it's one of those things where FTR has kind of helped Stokely because they're doing the disingenuous babyface act as heels.
Yeah. And Stokely's just the over-the-top, clearly not a babyface. Yeah. Yes. At least he's not doing the obscure pop culture references that only Garrett gets. He's kind of.
You mean rap references?
Not just rap. It's TV shows, movies. Like it's all this stuff that I didn't watch that Garrett does.
Got it.
Yeah. Then we got Ricochet and Blake Christian. This fucking match. Pardon my French.
Okay, no, I'm the same way. I watched this and I went snowflake hunting. Well, but it wasn't a snowflake hunting match either. It's like, why are you putting Blake Christian, who has been booked as a heel, on Dynamite multiple weeks, against Ricochet, who is also a heel, who now has the Gates of Agony, who have been booked as baby faces and now are back as heels, I guess.
Well, I mean, so you had, if you missed Collision, Gates of Agony beat up Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, which, I mean, I was wondering, like, why is that happening when those guys are heels? Isn't there babyface, like, that baby faces they could beat up? Like, Top Flight is, like, right there. No, they beat up these guys, and apparently they injured Lee Johnson, so now Blake Christian has to do this himself. So he cuts a babyface inset promo. They never do inset promos on this show. You didn't see this?
No, I only watched the FTR.
Blake Christian cut an inset promo during Ricochet's entrance. Yeah, and okay. So he said, after what Gates of Agony did to my boy Lee Johnson, he's not cleared to wrestle. I'm going straight to the head of the snake himself, Ricochet. I hope he leaves his lapdogs at home so I can whip his bald ass all by myself.
This is his reward for having good matches against other guys.
Yeah.
This is his babyface turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's basically, I mean, he's just AR Fox. Like,
yes.
He had, like, I mean, I'm watching this match and I'm like, I could see AR Fox doing every single thing Blake Christian did in this match, other than the fact that they wouldn't have given AR Fox a promo. So Blake's got that going for him. He can cut a promo. So Tony Schiavone reminded us that Ricochet debuted in the Gauntlet match. There was no heat first. Crowd was chanting bald. Taz was offended. Blake Christian was taking the whole match, hits Ricochet with a dive to the outside, and then Gates of Agony came out clapping. Ricochet tossed him in the ring steps going to break. So they come back from break. Crowd is still dead. And I assumed that meant Ricochet had been on offense the whole commercial. Then Blake Christian hits a Spanish fly for 2. And then he nailed him with a clothesline, hits a cutter from the middle rope, hits a springboard 450 splash for 2. Then he fights off both Gates of Agony guys on the outside, climbs over their back to get in the ring. Then finally the Gates of Agony take over. They beat him down with the ref distracted, toss him in the ring. Ricochet hits a spirit gun in the Vertigo for the win. It's like 95% of this match went to Blake Christian, and Ricochet got the win. Now, I think where this is going is, as surprise, got nothing to do with Blake Christian. I think we're getting Ricochet and Gates of Agony probably on the pre-show against Top Flight and Scorpio Sky. That's my guess.
After giving Scorpio Sky a win.
Yeah, he's going to lose at the pay-per-view.
I like the Gates of Agony a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This program for them is death. He's not going to do anything for them. And that's the problem, is they're the guys there to take losses for Ricochet.
It should be the other way around. Ricochet should be the one taking the losses and build up Gates of Agony.
That'll never happen.
No, I know, but Gates of Agony are awesome.
No, I really like, and I found that mini 1 week feud where they were baby faces against the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah.
And they're doing fire ups and stuff.
Didn't they do that against Bill and Keith too? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were quite good as baby faces. There's nothing wrong with the occasional monster baby face.
They're going to get a push. And and if like, let's say a babyface team ends up with these tag team titles at some point, I mean, they may get a program for the titles.
They'll get they'll get a match. They may not get a program because Tony doesn't like programs per se. But I mean, they've had the Ring of Honor tag titles.
Yeah. Oh man, Ricochet and Gates of Agony, like they could run Ring of Honor. Like,
yeah,
like they could have all the belts. Like, it'd be great.
They might get a trios program with the Ops.
So after the match, the Gates of Agony double teamed Blake Christian, and then they just left.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. And they announced here that Ricochet was in the Casino Gauntlet, but only if his number is called. So that almost told me he's not going to actually be in the match. He's going to be the last guy that doesn't get called, would be my guess, and then it'll be like
the way
Roger
they
Strong
plug this is so stupid.
Because they put Mystico in the graphic.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Okay, because what they should do is say, okay, we have MJF and we have Mark Briscoe in thing, and possibly from a selection of, and put like 15 guys there, and like maybe a couple of silhouettes.
Do you know how many people are in a Casino Gauntlet?
I believe 15 sign up, correct?
No. Apparently they've mentioned this. I've never heard it.
They have. They've mentioned it and I forgot it.
They've mentioned it, but because I skip entrances, I didn't actually hear it. I was listening to Brian and Vinny last week, and Brian was like, "Oh, it's unlimited. So you could have 200 guys. Like, as long as no, it's not unlimited. It's 21."
Yes.
Because when there's a casino attached to something in AEW, it means 21. So when there's
there's no rhyme or reason to the time differential. It's just when they decide to do it.
It's at a random interval, as Mark Briscoe put it last week. And the people, like, you could have one guy come out and then a minute later another guy come out, or it could be 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. I like that part of it. And the randomness of it, I like that too. And the fact that not everyone could get in. I mean, there's things you can do with that. And so, you could
do one right after the other of a tag team and put them both in there.
At some point, you could have it end on the first two guys. And I'm not saying that should be this time, although if they did it, I'd actually be really happy.
And at another point, you got to get all 21 in there.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you just got this wild thing. And I think last year, the most they've had is 10, I want to say, or it might be 9. It's either 9 or 10.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, the only guys that are officially in this match are MJF, Briscoe, Mystico, who I assume is third, but
Mystico has to be third then, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ricochet if his number is called. So again, the way they put it, I almost thinking that he's not going to get called, which I think could be funny. Then we got Renee with the Hurt Syndicate, and she wants to ask MJF about the talky talk. And he says, Toots, it ain't a one-on-one. He says, Mark Briscoe, you're about to get hurt by the Syndicate. And this casino will be as fast as that. I'm going to get one step closer to what I need, my AEW championship. Now let's talk the casino gauntlet. And then MVP's like, okay, you got this. We got to go take some pictures with our titles. And so they leave. And they go into another room where their titles are supposed to be, and they're gone. But Kevin Knight was nice enough to leave a note. And he said that he since I pinned you on Saturday, I decided to take your belt, Shelton. And so then MVP left MJF to handle his business, and Renee shows up and says, I guess it is going to be one-on-one. MJF and Mark Briscoe get their talky talk, and she's happy. MJF is upset, and that was your comedy. Then we got an awesome video package, and Excalibur pitched to it, and he said, we're going to see the history of the Rainmaker and the Omega. He called them. I thought that was weird. But so Kenny was narrating a lot of this, and he said that I'm chasing shadows. Years ago, I defeated the greatest wrestler on earth. I was happy to close that chapter. On that day, I proved I was the best, but you just had to come to AEW. He says, well, the Kenny Omega today is a different Kenny Omega, and the Kazuchika Okada of today is a different man as well. And then they showed a lot of highlights. And he said, 7 years ago, we had our last match. When it comes to this one, let's leave it all in the ring. One last time. And they showed Callis betraying him and Okada joining Callis. And Okada said, I felt good when I hurt you. I saw your blood and I felt great. And then Kenny says, you have to use something from my past to make it personal. He's talking about Coda. Congratulations. You're getting a different Kenny Omega this time. I will be the author. I'll do whatever it takes to win this belt. Okada says, maybe I'll kill you. Kenny says it all in. All I have left is this business and this championship. So let's leave it all in the ring one final time for everything. Well, that was good.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega did a promo. It kind of was. He did an interview with Dave Meltzer and Garrett, our patriarch. And in that thing, he talked about how he wants this match to be an AEW story. He doesn't want to play off the New Japan story.
I liked this. I really liked this tone of his thing. He goes and him saying, you know what? A lot of people have seen those matches in New Japan, but not everybody. So we're going to need to make this an AEW story. I thought that was very smart.
Yeah. And actually it was funny because so Garrett had mentioned to a couple of us that he was going to be interviewing Kenny, and he asked for some questions if we had any. And that was my question. Are you going to be focused on the New Japan stories and building off of them, or are you wanting this to be a new chapter? And Garrett started to ask the question, and then Dave steamrolled him.
What? No, that doesn't sound like our Dave.
But Kenny, I think, figured out what Garrett was going to ask and answered it. It was pretty cool.
I'm guessing he probably may have gotten the questions ahead of time.
He didn't. I checked with Garrett. No. But Kenny, I think, is smart enough that he wanted that message out there. So
Dave remembered something from 2005 he wanted to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. And his Trivial Pursuit game. That was hilarious. He's like, I was playing Trivial Pursuit and I was killing it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was the weird. And you just hear Kenny go, huh.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite thing on the thing was they're talking about how Toni books, and he's
hold on. We have to contemplate Dave Meltzer playing Trivial Pursuit, hearing the question, and talking his way into getting the answer. And how annoying his friends is probably.
His friends.
Dave, will you please just give us an answer? Well, yeah, but in 1973, the Best Picture nominee might have been.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I was in Japan. I was in Texas. Wait a minute. No, was I?
Yes.
No, I was in Florida.
I was covering soccer.
Yeah. But no. My favorite thing was they were talking about how Toni books, and he's like, every Wednesday you have all these matches. And Dave says, sometimes I wish that we'd know about these matches ahead of time. And Kenny was like, mm-hmm.
It's an interview well worth your time.
Yeah, because Kenny, I'm thinking Kenny's like, fuck. He said, I show up on Wednesday and it's like, oh, you're wrestling, like whatever, Will Ospreay tonight. All right. It's like, if you told me a week ago, we'd have had a much better match, but here we go. Yeah. So now we get the Mark Briscoe MJF talky talk. So MJF gets to the ring. Fans are chanting Tiny Pickle. Actually, Briscoe was in there already too. And he said, that's all right. Simmer down, Texas, for just 1 second. Or this was Briscoe. He said, it's time for a talky talk. Fans are chanting talky talk. And then MJF says, first of all, the phrase talky talk is the dumbest shit I've heard in my entire life. I know, much like all you people, Briscoe, you're a stupid white trash redneck. So let me speak in a way you can all understand. Howdy, y'all. Shuck, Mark Briscoe. I hope you didn't mosey on down your way, because if you do, I'm going to dog walk you. Do you reckon y'all understood that or what? Fans are chanting, shut the fuck up. He's not happy. He says, Mark, I don't know what you're thinking stepping in the ring with me. He says, you're like throwing rocks at a man with a machine gun. But unfortunately for all of you, there's going to be no talky talk. So you stupid hillbilly, why don't you walk back to your meth lab in Delaware so you can feed your 84 children and feed them with chicken feed or whatever else it is you feed them, you pathetic poor. And Briscoe's looking all serious. Now look at here, pickle. Sounds to me like you need an good old country ass whooping. Fans chanting, whoop his ass. Oh, it's coming. Believe you me, it's coming. Saturday will be here before you need it. I'm number 1 and you number 2. Bell go ding ding, and I'm going to commence to whipping your ass like you've never experienced before. Saturday is ass whooping day. But Wednesday, that's talky talk day. Fans chanting talky talk. Now you come out here, you try to berate me, Mex. It does not work. I'm proud to be a country boy, redneck. I'm proud I worked hard for every dollar I put in my pocket. You over there with your dumbass scarf that probably charged more than my entire wardrobe. You're the rich guy. I got riches too, man. I got my family, my friends. The good Lord above has blessed me beyond all measure. I don't think you can understand that, Max. You call yourself rich, man. You don't know what you are. You're bankrupt. The word of the day is bankrupt, Max. You are morally bankrupt. And you got no soul. And that being said, I see right through you. You're so predictable. I know what you're going to do next. You're going to talk some dumb shit about my brother. Trying to get me riled up.
Pause right here.
Okay.
Last week, I said that my big fear.
Yes, you did.
And it's almost like they were listening to me in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And they started well. But then
went off a cliff.
They went off a cliff. I just went,
yeah.
Somebody fed them our podcast last
I think
week.
what they did was okay, but it could have been worse, but they didn't need to go where they went.
Not by much, but yes.
So go ahead, buddy, have at it. So he says, hold on. I would never say anything bad about your brother. Your brother is going down as one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. One of the greatest human beings to ever step foot in a wrestling ring. There's a special place in heaven for one Jay Briscoe. Mm-hmm. He stopped to let the fans chant Jay. However, here it comes. I do pity your brother. Not because he passed away. That's obvious. I pity him because while he's up there, he has to look down at you and see what you become. Okay, we're still okay. Yeah, I know he must be rolling. I know he must be rolling.
I think you and I are both going, all right, where's he going?
I did not think he was going where he went.
Neither did I. I thought it was going to be a kick in the balls, to be honest with you.
He says, I know he must be rolling over in his goddamn grave, Mark. One half of the greatest tag team of all time, them boys, to being nothing more than a joke. Matter of fact, I'm not a betting man because I already have more money than everyone in this podunk arena. But if I was, and if I could make a bet, if your brother was here, I know what he'd say to you, Mark. He'd say, chicken? He would say chicken.
He would call him chicken.
Yeah. It should have been you in that accident. It shouldn't have been me in that accident. It should have been you and Mark. I don't think Mark was expecting that.
This is Nikki and Brie in the womb.
Yeah.
Level of cringe for me.
Or Reed Flair. like that sort of thing. Like I can't remember
Yes.
what they said about Reed, but yeah. And so Mark took him down and pounded him out, and then MJF turned around. Mark turned around. Mark went for a J Driller, and that brought out the Hurt Syndicate. And they still didn't have their belts. Then they get attacked by Jet Speed, and Mark took over in the ring. Max got out of there, took off through the crowd. Mark chased him. Then Jet Speed actually got heat on the Hurt Business. They beat the shit out of them. Tony reminded us that Shelton got pinned on Saturday. Knight laid out Shelton with a tag belt, tossed him in the ring steps. Bailey gave him a sliding drop kick. Then he kicked Bobby's head off his body. And then the Patriarchy came out. Christian lifted up Bobby, tossed him in the barricade. Kip and Nick threw MVP into the barricade. Then Bobby, and then they gave MVP a concerto three times.
They murdered Death, the Hurt Syndicate. I
think MVP might not even be there tomorrow night, or Saturday maybe. Like they almost have to sell that, eh? And yeah, I kept expecting, I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for I was, they did a good job here.
I was waiting for the Patriarchy to move on to Jet Speed, and it never happened. And then they just destroy Bobby Lashley, and I'm just like, huh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no doubt. And then they still had the Patriarchy and Jet Speed kind of, okay, we did what we needed to do. Now we're focused on each other. So, but this all got me thinking, well, maybe Hurt Syndicate's not losing the belts. That's kind
of the weird thing if you're doing the Stanford rules of booking, and that's also why you might think that also Mercedes might be winning.
Yeah, but they could have them lose, and then and then they just move on, and then they're
Well, I think the story of Bobby and MJF after MJF wins the Gauntlet, and possibly wins the title, is the compelling story here, and you don't need the tag. And the tag division has enough tag teams now where they don't need the Hurts to get in there.
No, and Shelton can get in that TNT title mix. Him and Fletcher would be a freaking great match for the TNT title. Yeah, Greg says obvious clear out for the Hurts to lose, and he likes Lashley as Hangman's first challenger. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Because he'd have to lose.
Okay, no, Lashley loses to Hangman, and then still got MJF. MJF's just sitting there with his chants, going, "Not yet, not yet, not yet."
Yeah.
Okay.
And he'd be threatening him the whole time too. Lashley's going to soften you up, and then I'm going to swoop in. And then Lashley could look at him like, you're not swooping in on me. Something like that.
Actually threatening to go in on Lashley.
Like the Nia Jackson Tiffany thing, right? Like they did.
Hey, remember when you said after I won the title that you'd be one of the first people to get the shot? Yeah. How about that, Bobby? Yeah. Robert. Yeah.
Then we got Queen Aminata, Tay Mello, Tekla, and Megan Bayne.
You put some respect on this match because I loved it.
You did, eh? Okay.
And it was. I like all four of these performers, so it's one of those.
Well, these four and their four friends have been wrestling every week on Collision.
Yes, I know. I've been watching those too.
Yeah, and so they showed Statlander in the ring. They kept going back to her, and every time she had the exact same look on her face. And it was the same look that Baker had on that show we watched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we were both on the same page on that. Yeah. I'm like, oh look, Britt Baker's in the audience.
Yeah. And the crowd was dead through most of this, but every time Megan Bayne would power up and start going nuts on all these women, they were right behind Megan Bayne, which I guess will work because now it's going to be Megan and Stat as the first two, and Stat's a heel, I think. So Megan as a babyface kind of works. But yeah, they just everything anybody tried, Megan was just powering through it. Tekla is, I don't know what's going on with her. Like everything she tried, she couldn't hit. One point, the biggest thing she got a reaction for was the spider walk, and then she just stopped doing it. So they eventually I'm just trying to fast forward to the end here. So after she did the spider walk, then she hit a spear. It was Megan hit a spear on her, and then Aminata broke it up. Tekla rolled Aminata up for 2. Then she kicked her head off. Penelope tried to pull her out of the ring, but Anna Jay attacked her, so they brawled to the back. Then Bayne hit a spear on Aminata, then just a vicious powerbomb, killed Aminata, just dropped her dead, and she got the pin. And Megan Bayne looked amazing. and the rest of them were there. That's about all I got.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there needs to be a little bit more crispness for me for Megan Bayne on those clotheslines sometimes that
Oh
she
my
does.
god, she runs and it's like
She just kind of like and
yeah,
just jumps like that. Tekla obviously holds no ill will towards Aminata
nope.
for those things. Yeah, I think she got the crap kicked out of her by Aminata, and then Aminata kind of got a receipt there. And Tay Mello is such a.
She tries.
I just remember the first time I saw her in that when she was introduced in the Mae Young Classic, and she's just all personality, and you're like, my god, and she's
She
still
could
that
get
same personality.
at least 5 times in this match, I thought it was Thunder Rosa. Like,
Yeah, no, that with no,
Yeah.
I get that. Can Tekla speak English?
yeah, she did an interview with Brian Alvarez.
Huh.
Yeah, she's got a tiny accent, but
I am amazed that they haven't made use of that yet. Then, because
yeah,
let her play crazy, because that's what she's playing.
well, she's a heel, eh?
Well, she's a crazy heel, but let her
Yeah.
play it.
Fair enough,
Because she's a little bit of the wild card on whatever Suicide Squad of heels you have. Because remember, she teamed with Megan Bayne, and then she attacks Megan Bayne. So
now she's with. I think she's with Sky Blue and Julia Hart.
But that was my question because of the aftermath of the match. But I enjoyed this match. I know it
wasn't bad. I give it 3 stars.
I'm not giving it a star rating. I'm just saying I enjoyed this because I enjoy all 4 of these ladies, and I'm liking that Aminata's at least sticking with it. I mean, she's not. I don't know if she's improving or not.
Did you notice the sign guy from WWE was in the crowd?
Yes,
and he had a sign that said, "I will sit, heel, bow, and beg for Bane."
I remember like that first time somebody posted that, and then Megan Bayne on her Twitter goes, "Man, show my boobs once, and you all are ready to bend the knee to me," or something like that. It's like, all right. She knows her gimmick.
He has been around a long time. I remember them doing a feature on him on WWE Confidential. It's like over 20 years ago. Yeah, I think I met him in Texas when I was at one of the WrestleManias. He's at all the shows in the Southeast and Southwest there. So, so Excalibur does a little aside, and he says, "We have everyone our thoughts at this incredibly difficult time," but he doesn't say what.
No, the floods. No, he says the floods in Texas, but it looks like he's. Yeah, but it looks like he's reading from a card because I'm not sure if he's looking at the camera or looking at his paper that he's reading. Tony and Taz are both kind of sitting there, with proper looks, but at the same time, I'm just like, guys, you don't. There's something oddly. Look, I get that they're trying to be respectful, but there's something weird about a man in a mask saying a pro wrestling show extends their sympathies.
I think it would have been better if they would have like flashed up something where you could donate or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm not saying they needed to do that because that's a decision that you make or you don't make or whatever, but it would have.
I would have much rather they had just if you'd like to donate here, do that, as opposed to we as a corporation are well aware of this tragedy and we would like to extend our sympathies.
Yeah. Although he wasn't smiling. He was very
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying he was insincere.
I would suggest that perhaps you would want to have Renee do this, but then we got the next segment. So Renee was backstage with Tekla. She says, "There's no denying your impact in AEW. You've never even been pinned." And before she can say anything, she's attacked by Aminata. They get in a brawl. Security breaks them up. Renee says, "Oh, there's clearly unresolved issues between these two." And then Mark Briscoe shows up and he says, "MJF, I got one thing for you. I know you'd say something stupid that would fire me up. I'm going to witness Casino Gauntlet, MJF. I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch." And Renee is laughing her ass off during Briscoe's promo.
Because Mark gets lost halfway through this promo, and it's hilarious.
And he just starts screaming random.
My mom walked back in for this part.
Oh, God.
No. She was taken aback by the Aminata attack on Tekla.
Okay.
But I had already explained because she had walked out during the MJF Briscoe thing, but I told her what a good Christian man that Mark Briscoe was. And she goes, language, and walked out.
Oh, okay. All right. Then we got Samoa Joe and Wheeler Yuta. Not much to say about this match. Fans chanted, "Get a haircut." Joe did he did his dive spot at one point, and it was great, as it always is. And then at some point, like, Wheeler hit him with something, and he was like clearly bothered by his eyes. And as he's fiddling with his eyes, Wheeler goes for another move, and Joe's not even looking at him. Like, he's just playing with his eyes or whatever, and he kind of walks, and he accidentally does the walkaway spot. And he just looks back, and he's like, "Yeah." This was so great. And then
this was Sign Guy's best moment.
Oh, really? What did he? I missed
the sign. The sign was like a sheepdog, Wheeler Yuta, and something else.
Oh, so it's like okay, yeah. But yeah, it was fun. And then finally Wheeler actually did hit his moves that he'd been trying to hit the whole time and got no reaction. He hit a flying elbow, got a 1 count. Then Joe hit a senton. Ref got in between them, and then he starts screaming at Wheeler, "Get your hands off me!" Wheeler tried to German Joe. That went about as well as you'd think it might. And he bit his ear and tried to roll him up, but then Joe put him in the Kakina clutch, and Wheeler tapped before he even had the hold on. Yeah, that was that. And and then that ended up. So he gets attacked, and I thought it was Mox at first, but it was Gabe Kidd. And then Powerhouse Hobbs and Shibata made the save, and
I thought it was Claudio. So I mean, we're both
okay. There
wrong.
you go. Well, last week I thought Claudio was
all
Mox,
bald guys look alike. So
yeah, all bald white guys. Then I kind of determined from this, it's probably going to be Gabe Kidd in that trios match because Claudio had challenged the Ops for a trios title match, which they never mentioned once. So maybe that match isn't even happening. I don't know.
I thought this was a fun accident by production because they cut to the wide shot and you see Gabe Kidd jumping over the railing as they cut back to the close up of the thing.
Yeah.
And I think they weren't supposed to show that. I think it was supposed to be a tight shot on Joe and then he gets attacked. But I kind of liked this. I kind of liked the accident of seeing the guy jumping over. Oh,
it would have been nice if we actually knew who it was.
Yes.
Because you thought it was Claudio. I thought it was Mox, and turns out it was Gabe. So
yes.
And the announcers didn't tell us till they got in the ring. So I think clearly like we weren't actually supposed to see it when we did. But I do agree with you, like kind of worked the way it did. Then we got the main event, which was an all-star 8-man tag, and they use this all-star term loosely a lot of times. And in this case, it actually was an all-star match. It was the Bucks, Moxley, and Claudio against Powerhouse Hobbs, Shibata, Hangman, and Will Ospreay. So they did a bunch of stuff before the match. I didn't even write anything down. The only thing of note was that Hangman and Marina got into a face-off right before the break.
I wanted Marina to be selling the. I wanted like at least like a neck brace or something.
Nothing. It was like nothing happened. But I think the whole point wasn't that she got hurt. It was that she pushed Hangman over the edge. That was what the point was last week. So
yeah,
they come back from break and the crowd is going nuts. And I noticed there was a table set up, so that must have been done during the break. Hangman got a 200 powerbomb, went for a deadeye. Claudio made the save. They announced here, although I think this had actually been announced on Twitter during the week, but they announced it here as well. Mystico and Beast Mortos are having a match tomorrow night on Collision. So I assume that means Mortos is in that gauntlet as well, if his number gets called. And then the 8-man tag, and that's all that's announced for Collision, as far as I know. Then we got Hobbs and Claudio, fans chanting beef there. Hobbs got the better of it. Then Mox just ran in with no tag. Hobbs tagged in Shibata. He hit a running high kick on Claudio. Fans were going nuts for him. He chopped down Claudio in the corner, hit the PK, was about to make the pin, and then Nick made a save with a super kick. Hangman went for a deadeye. Matt super kicked him. Then they did stereo super kicks on Ospreay. And then they tried it on Hobbs, but he no-sold it. Then they finally super kicked him into Claudio and Mox, and then Claudio and Mox put Hobbs through the table, so he's out. The Bucks hit an EVP trigger on Shibata. Claudio hit the neutralizer, but the camera missed it. Mox put in the choke, and the ref called for the bell like immediately, even though Shibata wasn't out and he didn't tap, but the ref called for the bell anyways because they were probably running out of time. And so that was that match, and then we got a big stuff at the end. I don't know if nothing. I imagine you got nothing to say about the match.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So then there's a heel beatdown, and Hangman makes a save on Shibata. Then Gabe Kidd ran in, and then it was a bunch of heels beating everybody up. Marina gave Mox a chain. Mox is choking on Hangman with the chain. Ospreay made the save, but then Gabe choked him out. Then they're putting the boots to Hangman and Ospreay. Bucks are posing. And then Marina hands plastic bags to the Bucks. And we're like, ooh. And
Here we
that's
go.
a call back to the Danielson thing. But then Swerve's music made the save. And we cut to the Contron and close up on Swerve. And you can kind of tell he's in some sort of a vehicle. And he says, I once told a man he'd have to choose between hate and success and between peace and vengeance. And then I was reminded they're one and the same. So you see Matt, Nick, everything we've been through has been about control. It's always about control. Well, I'm about to take it back. So I'm going to leave the rest for me and Will Ospreay at All Ins. And this is how vengeance breaks. And then we do the wide shot, and he's in a forklift, and he crushes their limo. And the Bucks are just going over the top acting. Excalibur's laughing his ass off. Heels are beating down Hangman and Ospreay anyways. And then Joe makes a save. And then they're airing the footage while this stuff's going on in the ring. And the crowd is clearly watching the screen and not what's going on in the ring. So there's like no reaction to anything that's happening in the ring, even though they're doing tons of shit in the ring. Ospreay's diving off the ropes, and the crowd is just like, they're watching the screen. So finally they shut the screen off. Well, Swerve actually says, whose house? And he flips off the camera. And then they finally cut back to the ring. And Hangman laid out Mox with a discus lariat, went for the buckshot. Claudio intercepted. Hangman took him out. Then they're squaring off. Ospreay tossed Hangman a chain. Marina pulls him out of the ring. Then they go back out to the limo, and the Bucks are upset. They're financially ruined, they say. Nana shows up with his coffee and basically.
I think the exact line was, "We will never financially recover from this."
Yeah, even though they claimed last week that they bought the limo with Tony Khan's credit card.
Oh, that's not the worst thing about this, but let's continue.
Okay, so Nana distracted them, which allowed Swerve to jump off of the crane and nail them both with stomps. And then he looks at the camera and he says, "Looks like I found the fathers." And then they go back in the arena. And the Death Riders left through the crowd. Swerve shows up in the arena and hugged Ospreay. And at first I thought Hangman was staring at Mox, but then it turns out he's staring at Ospreay and Swerve, and he's pissed, which is weird. And yeah, that's how they went off the air.
He still has a mat on for Swerve. That's what.
Yeah.
This segment would have worked really, really well if Swerve had just lowered the damn claw on the limo and then monologued. Because he's monologuing while they have the bags out, waiting to choke them. And it's like, why aren't you guys? By the time he finishes his speech, because that's what I thought was going to happen.
Jeff, I think this is just like a pro wrestling thing, like whipping into the ropes and stuff that you just have to accept. When there's something on the Contron, everything stops. You can't do anything. Except at the end afterwards when they were doing shit in the ring and everyone's watching.
I mean, they admitted that it's an homage to WWE with the flip off,
right?
Whose house? But yes, I mean, look. I don't need to make total sense. I can suspend believability, but wreck the car first and throw off the Bucks. That's all you have to do. And then they can get mad and be distracted, and then Moxley and come back here and choke these guys out. And I mean, I was thinking they were going to actually choke out Will Ospreay while Swerve was monologuing, and then that would be the impetus for their breakup.
Jason points out the speech was part of the issue. Death Riders not continuing the attack was also an issue. I get the Bucks not continuing the attack, but the Death Riders, what do they care?
Yes, they're trying to make the Bucks, flakes, and I get that. That's fine. I mean, I can live with that. It's just one of those things where it's like this logical problem is solved if you just first thing crunch the limo. We don't need the build up to it because we know what's going on. We can see
he did a really good job on the limo. He ruined that thing.
He did, but you can see he's in a crane. This isn't. Oh man, I wonder what he's in right now. Just do it and then monologue, and then talk to the Bucks while they're. Oh my God, my limo! I can't. Just do it then, and it's like punch first and then monologue.
How did the Bucks miss Swerve when they walked out of the parking lot? Yeah, it's one of those logic questions.
Well, there was an executive entrance.
Okay, we got a few minutes here, so
let's do this.
Do a quick preview. So we've got the Hurt Syndicate versus Jet Speed versus the Patriarchy. I think we already talked about this. We both have the Patriarchy winning. Yeah,
right.
Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher. This should be gold. This should be like Lesnar Kofi.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not gonna be, but that's what it should be. Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay against the Young Bucks.
I think the Young Bucks win, and I think it's a good way to clear them out and have Hangman be able to have a run because there's plenty of guys you can stick against Hangman.
And you can tag up Swerve and Will, and you can rebuild that tag team division.
I think you split up Swerve and Will eventually, though.
For sure. Yeah, like by next year at this time they're feuding, and they're in the finals of the Owen, and the winner gets the All-In title shot.
Right.
Yeah, which probably should be Will, given that they're going to be in London next year. Okay, the Women's Casino Gauntlet. So I guess the thing here is like who's going to win, and do we get any surprises?
I think Willow wins. It would not shock me if Britt Baker returned and won this to make her the next for Toni. Surprise, if Dakota Kai is available, then Evie is making an appearance in here. If she's not, then she's not. But that would be my surprise.
I don't know if she is or not. I
don't think she is.
I think she's not. I know Shane is not. I got Athena winning. And I would say that for a surprise, like I know Shotzi's got a broken arm, but she's been working indies anyways. So I know AEW's crack medical staff cleared Bryan Danielson and Adam Copeland and Sting. So I think they can make a cue for, Shotzi to do a couple spots in a multi-person match. I think the crowd would go nuts for her.
I'm trying to think of somebody who could possibly be a surprise here. And
there's Jakara Jackson's been doing indies. I mean, but I don't think she's going to get a reaction.
She's not ready to be introduced to AEW just yet.
Not even close. I like your Britt Baker idea. I don't know who else. There are any other women? Like, yeah, obviously Shayna's not ready. I can't remember who even got Sonya. Yeah. I mean, you could. I mean, Brie Bella.
I almost said that as a joke, but I thought it was a bad joke, so I stopped.
It could be. You hit that music and people go nuts, and then it's Brie instead of right. Oh, that'd be a great troll job. Men's Casino Gauntlet. I got MJF winning, and as far as surprises, I don't know. Like maybe Michael Oku. Oh, I got Alex Windsor in that Women's Casino Gauntlet too. Michael Oku maybe in the Gauntlet. I know a lot of people think Eddie Kingston. If it's going to be him, this is probably the place to do it. I just don't know if it will be. Maybe Jack Perry.
Cardona.
Oh, yeah. Why not? He does everything. And who's going to win? Cardona?
No, MJF.
Okay. Who was it that some people think is going to win? Oh, people think Mystico is going to take out MJF, but then I don't know. Like, that's a great plan and everything, but then who wins? Briscoe, I guess. Briscoe could win. I'd like that. And then he would just call his shot, probably. He wouldn't do the sneak attack thing. Yeah. Okada and Omega for both belts and the unified title. So it's going to be like the Triple Crown, where it's like 3 belts.
This is the only one that I really don't know.
I've got Okada. Just because I want Omega teaming with Ibushi in that restructured tag team division. So
I think it's going to be Omega just to give the family a target to go after finally.
Okay.
And then you can then build up the dissension between Okada and Takeshita to get one of them out of there. And
Now you got to remember Takeshita's leaving for a month.
That's fine. You can write it as part of it.
Although their target could be Hangman too.
Yeah, it should be Big Boom AJ, who is facing a member of the Callis family on the. It'd be like Paul Jones' Army.
Oh, he's facing Rocky Romero, is he?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. Dave was making a big thing on the F4W board that the Von Erichs should be added to this show and put on the main card.
I saw that and I went, "You're nuts."
Okay, it wasn't just me. Yeah, I mean, pre-show, absolutely, but this card is too loaded for them to be on the main show. But I mean, if it's Von Erichs and like Dustin, the perfect opponents are RPG Vice and Hechicero.
Yes.
Or MXM Collection and Johnny.
God, no.
Yeah, why not? And get a quick 5-minute win, but not on the main card. So I'm looking at Wikipedia, and they actually have.
Oh, I have another surprise. I think Roosh will be in the Gauntlet.
Oh, I like that. John Moxley and Hangman is actually listed second on this lineup that we have here.
They're main eventing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are too. And I think Okada and Omega are probably ahead of Toni and Mercedes as well. But I think they should do those 3 in a row. Like no buffers. Just do the top 3 matches as the top 3 matches. But anyways, I'll do it in this order. So John Moxley and Hangman. I think we both have Hangman winning, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to rerun this Hangman thing. It would be a huge mistake if they don't play Hangman out to the ring with his first babyface music. Yeah,
and then just hopefully they don't put him against Sonata in the Forbidden Door. That's what they did the last time, right? When it was it MJF, I think. Timeless Toni Storm and Mercedes Mone, the biggest women's match in professional wrestling history.
Before we get here, real quick, I know we're running a little late, but I just want to ask how overbooked is going to be this Hangman?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, and I should have asked. And I think
it going to be more or less overbooked than Cena versus Punk?
Oh, than Cena Punk? Way over. What about over Cena? What about over Cody and Roman?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think we're getting at least 15 run-ins. Like not 15 separate run-ins, but 15 people running in. So you
think the cast of thousands from All Night is going to somehow be in this? Okay.
And then the final one, I think, if it's me booking, the final one. Well, there's 2 possibilities. My choice as it stands right now is that it would be Sting, but then Darby following Sting would be the last 2, and they would take out whatever heels left and then leave Hangman and Moxley alone. If Bryan Danielson is able to come back, then it should be Bryan Danielson as the last one. But I don't think he is.
Does Chris Statlander try and help Moxley retain?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So she should probably have to win the women's gauntlet then.
Maybe. I'm not really like I picked Athena just because I think Athena and Mercedes make sense, but I'm not like tied to it or anything. Like
okay.
Yeah, I really like my actual answer when somebody asked me was I don't really care. Like it's the one match I have no feelings on this show. Honestly, is that women's gauntlet. Like I just don't think they've done a really good job building it. But yeah, so I think we get a million run-ins and Hangman's got to win, and he's got to win clean. Like
how is it clean if you have a million run-ins?
Well, I'm saying once it's all settled. And you got these 2, they've got to do at least like 5 minutes together, and then he beats them.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I agree.
The only reason for the run-ins is because it's the Death Riders, and that's what they do. So
I think people are anticipating this title run. I think it might be disappointing, but I'm here to be wrong on this one. I want to be wrong on this one.
Well, I like Hangman holding it till around World's End, and then MJF would cash in, and then
that's
MJF,
like a month, isn't it?
No, World's End is like December.
Oh, okay, my fault.
Yeah,
I thought that
and then MJF would probably end up losing it. Probably hold it until next year's All In, and then he loses to Ospreay because they had that awesome match in Wembley last time. So, and then probably eventually Hangman and Ospreay, or maybe
And we
Hangman.
both think Tony's winning.
Tony's beating Mercedes is what we think. Yeah, but that one could go either way, but I'm leaning Tony.
I want Mercedes to win. I think it's the right choice, and I think they should put all the marketing of AEW behind her, but they're not going to. It's going to be Tony.
All right, and as we know, Jeremy Finestone will be here with a post-game show. I imagine he'll have a co-host. I don't know who it's going to be, but they've set it up. So maybe it'll be you. I don't know. It won't be me.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to commandeer the house TV for 4 hours of wrestling.
And that's the thing with me. Like, I may try to watch some wrestling while I'm on vacation, like when everyone goes to sleep, throw on the laptop and watch an hour or something, but I don't know I'm going to get through an AEW pay-per-view while I'm on my vacation. So we'll see. If Tony's winning, doesn't that make Athena winning the Gauntlet mute? Yeah, you know what? You're right. I think when I came up with Athena, it was going to be Mercedes winning. So Megan Bain. But Chris Statlander works too. I'm going with Chris Statlander. I changed my pick. Okay. She's going all the way. She's running the gauntlet. Jeff, get your picks, your plugs in.
Crap Game 13 on X. Do Shake Them Ropes. We're going to record Friday. We're going to preview the 3 WWE shows over the weekend that are counter-programming this AEW All-In. We'll see what Nove thinks. Don't have a Vader Club pick from him yet, but hey, I finally got a time down to record, so I'm happy about that. That'll drop. But yeah, Saturday night's main event. I think there might be 2 briefcase cash-ins during this weekend.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. At least one for sure. Yeah, and I'm not going to watch any of those shows either. So I'm an equal opportunity disser this weekend. I'm going to try to get the ROH show in before I leave, but that's it. And I'm going to watch SmackDown as well, hopefully. Then for me, I got nothing to plug because I'm going to be gone. But I will be back next week. I'm going to do a show with Jeff. I'm going to watch Dynamite. I told my wife already I'm going to make some time, but I'm going to be offline. So I'm going to have no idea going in what's on the show and not watching the pay-per-view. What did they announce for Dynamite tonight? Clearly nothing. So it's a mystery vortex show for me next week. So tune in and I'll be covering the show with Jeff. And and we'll probably talk a little bit about All In, and Jeff will fill me in on anything I need to know. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine, and this has been The Dynamite Show.